As many of you know, I really keep my eye on Princess Cruises. I love to sail on Princess Cruise Line and keep my eye on what the changes are, and I think that some big changes are underway. Some of them we've seen, and some of them I think we should anticipate. We need to talk it over together, so let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Tuesday. It is January 6th of 2026. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, would you please be sure to click on that subscribe button today? And if you appreciate my updates, I'd really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up. Thanks so much, and we're really happy to have you here with us. Now, before I get into all of the really exciting things that I want to tell you about today, I want to make sure that everyone is keeping an eye that follows Don Terrace over at Don's Family Vacations and his channel, Just Don. Make sure you watch his video and keep your eye on him. He has had an update. He had a CT scan and the news isn't good. And I'm not going to cry here, I already cried, but keep him in your thoughts and in your prayers. He's going to need our thoughts and prayers, and I know it makes a really big difference, and send him your love, because it helps people to know, and just be reminded how many people love them, but keep an eye on it, watch his videos. I think in the long run he's going to need a lot of support, so if you're not doing anything, turn on one of his videos, and then turn on one of mine, but he is just amazing. He has given so much to the cruising community and adds so much to the conversation and to just making it fun. And so make sure you catch his video and keep him in your prayers. We sure love you, Don. Now, I would submit that a lot of times we keep our eye on what cruise lines are doing and we see headlines and some things really stand out, but some other movements and choices that they make are a little bit more subtle. And so we sometimes have to guess at what their end goal is, right? And so as I've been keeping my eye on Princess lately, I've been wondering what their goal is. One of the things that really stood out to me is when Princess Cruises released Alaska 2027. They have, to my knowledge, and I could easily be wrong, but I don't recall them having 8 ships in Alaska for one season. That is a huge commitment of what they're doing, especially when Alaska is so important to their income for the whole year. And so that is a huge commitment. And so I noted that, and I was wondering what other changes they were going to make. Then we heard that Princess was no longer going to have the Regal Princess in Galveston. That's a big change. It was a really big deal. You probably remember when they started having the Regal Princess down in Galveston. Everybody was really excited. I remember how they showed on the very first day they were in port. Everything was Texas, which is appropriate and really exciting. And so no longer are they going to be sailing from Galveston. They think that they can do better with that asset somewhere else. Another big change that I have noticed is they have kind of, in my opinion, so tell me what you think, I feel like we have seen a lot of movement when it comes to what they are trying to accomplish on board. Earlier in 2025, they said that they were going to make some tweaks to the Plus and Premier package that started with any cruises that you booked with that new package, sailing January 1st of 2026 and after. If you booked before with the old package, you still get what was in the old package unless you pay the extra money to get what is in the new package. But they made some subtle tweaks that really kind of stood out to me as trying to be a little bit more, I don't know, upscale, except for limiting drinks and that soda gate. That's ridiculous. But they really made some changes. They're going to give you some onboard credit with the Premier package. You get the you don't get your medallion shipped for free anymore, but there are several things that they changed. I think it really stood out to me that they've added 4 casual dinings with the Plus package, and just kind of really ramped up how they look at what your onboard experience is going to be. They're taking away those fancy desserts, which were kind of a funny addition anyway, but that's going to be gone. Princess Prizes is going to be gone. If you want to play a game of chance, you're going to have to go to the casino to do it. not going to be doing it on your stateroom little keypad anymore. So to me, they were really kind of making some choices that are going to kind of lead to what they want people to experience when they're on board. So now we have just gotten the news, and I noticed this the other day, that things were released but not talked about yet. But the Regal Princess for 2027 has now been released, and she's going to be in Europe. She's not going to be sailing from the Caribbean. In 2027, Princess will not have a ship sailing in the Caribbean for the summertime. Never before. Never. I don't know. I hate to use the word never, but that's unusual. Usually Princess has at least one ship sailing in the Caribbean in the summertime. And so what are we going to do with all of these ships? It's brand new that they're going to have 2 ships in Japan year round. We're going to have, let's see, I looked at it. Is it 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ships in Europe. They're going to have, and then they've got, a couple of floaters. They keep some, doing the South Pacific, and in the wintertime, they've always got a couple down in Australia. I'm really excited to see who they put there for, my 2028 is already out, isn't it? And I'm not crazy about that. Maybe 2029 will be the year. We'll have to see for Australia. But let me know what you've been noticing. A couple of other things that I have noticed on board. I have noticed them adding a lot more. Maybe it's not a lot more. Maybe it just feels like a lot more. Like in the Sabatinis, they added that fancy dinner that you can do. It's more like a Tuscany dinner, and more upscale. You have more, just a lovely dinner there. They have been adding a lot of casino space. A lot of the ships, the Take 5 is no longer just the Take 5 anymore. It is got a lot of slot machines there, so they're trying to up the game there. I don't know if the call there is a little bit more like Monte Carlo in Monaco, but they've added a lot more gambling on the ships. And I'm going to say, I don't even gamble, and I think that the casinos on the Star Princess and the Sun Princess are so beautiful. If I played in the casino, I would definitely want to go do it there. So there's just been a lot of subtle changes along the way that kind of lead. I think Princess is trying to really position themselves at the top. They want to be the premier cruise line out of the mass market cruise lines. So you can look that up and read about that. But mass market are the big cruise lines, the ones like your Celebrity, your Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess. If I've forgotten one, go ahead and tell me. But they want to really, I think, be at the top of that heap. When you look at the itineraries that they are going to be doing in Europe in 2027, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to find more time in 2027 to be able to go and experience some of these things. I want to share some of them that are really special. And if you end up thinking that you want to go on one of them, I'm delighted to work with you. I'm really good at Europe and what you need to do to go and do while you're there and what you need to expect. But here's what really stands out to me about these itineraries. And even if you have never thought of going to Europe before, or you have been to Europe so many times on cruises that just don't bore me, stick with me and listen, because they've got some ports that are really new that they've not gone to before or not gone to very often. And when you compare what Princess is doing in Europe in 2027 with like what Celebrity is doing in Europe in 2027, or Holland America, or like your Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, all of this, Princess is really making a name for themselves. Not too long ago, I let you know that nobody covers Australia the way Princess Cruises does. Nobody does. And so they have really got that market pinned down, and they take good care of it. And I'm wondering if they're trying to do the exact same thing with a lot of Europe. Now, I mentioned the other evening in our live that once, everything started with Ukraine and Russia, not so many Baltic cruises were taking place because that whole region, people were worried more about going there. But it's bouncing back as far as cruising goes, which makes me really happy for some of these locations that really can use the tourism that comes with cruise ships making a call there. So Tallinn, Estonia, I am sure they're going to be delighted to have the ships back. Tallinn is absolutely beautiful. I that's on my list of where to go again. They're going to Poland again. They're going to a lot of different places. So I'm just so excited. Let me tell you. So first of all, they are going to be running lots of different cruises. They're going to have like 48 different voyages. They're going to go to 54 different destinations in 8 countries. How does that line up? Just in like Northern Europe there. That doesn't include like what the Enchanted and the Sun are doing down in Southern Europe and the Mediterranean. So that's kind of its own thing. That's been released longer. We've known what they were doing. So here are the few things that I think you need to know. They're going to start to have overnights. We don't get overnights in Europe very often on a mass market cruise line. And they're going to have overnights on some of the cruises in Stockholm and in Cove, Ireland. Cove, Ireland is where you can go to Blarney Castle. If you're in town, I vote that you go on this excursion. It's called the VEE, like Victor EE. Lismore and the Rock of Cashel, go on that one. You see so much more of Ireland, and the Rock of Cashel and Blarney Castle are really different, but equally beautiful and important to visit. That's a side note. They're going to be covering the British Isles, the Baltics, Iceland, Norway, and Scandinavia. They're going to go to more ports in Iceland on some of these cruises than they've ever gone to before. And usually you don't get AccuAerie when you do your Reykjavik, Seyðisfjörður. I don't really speak Icelandic, so I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. But a lot of times you don't get AccuAerie. You're going to see a lot more AccuAerie Iceland than we've seen before. What else are they going to do? They're going to have five different home ports. Southampton, Copenhagen, Denmark there, Reykjavik, Iceland, Helsinki. Helsinki is a home port in Fort Lauderdale. Of course, Fort Lauderdale is going to be a home port for transatlantics. But take a look at the transatlantics. Really, really exciting. So exciting. Maybe we'll have to add one. I was looking to see what we could add in 2027. The Northern Lights cruise gets done in Southampton on the Majestic Princess October 31st. And so I've been looking at what we could put after that. If anybody's game to go, let me know. But there might be like a cruise and then catching a transatlantic back home. Doesn't that sound so amazing? So many different options. And so let me tell you really quick, they've got like an 8-night Irish counties and Scottish shores that goes to more ports in Ireland than generally you see on a lot of cruises. A 10-night Norwegian fjord and Icelandic fjords. 15-night Mediterranean adventure, and it is more the western rather than the eastern. They don't ominously usually go to Ibiza. Ibiza is going to be on several of these itineraries. Same with Sardinia. Sardinia is a little bit more of an outlier when it comes to where Princess goes. They're going to be going there more. They've got a 14-night Scandinavia and Baltic adventure. It includes Bornholm. They don't go there a lot. Gdansk, Poland, like I mentioned. They've got a 25-night British Isles and Icelandic Fjord Explorer. And we're also going to Zeebrugge in Belgium, more than I have ever seen us go in a year. And Amsterdam as well is going to be on a few cruise itineraries. And so to me, Zeebrugge is like the port you go into, and then you can go to Bruges. You can go over to Brussels. Bruges is beautiful. It has the Bruges Madonna, which is Michelangelo's sculpture. That's there are not very many outside. I know there's one in the Hermitage, and there's one, this one, but read the whole World War II history on that. It's remarkable, but you get to go see that in person there. The chocolate is second to none there in Bruges. Belgium has such good chocolate. And then they've got these really long cruises. They've got, here, let me find it really fast. They've got a 64-day Ultimate European Journey, a 49-day Northern European Explorer, and they've got several of them that are in the 20-something days long. So no matter what it is that you want to do or what you want to see, I think you can do it in Europe on Princess Cruises in 2027. I don't work for them. I love to sail on Princess. I have done Europe on Princess lots of times, and I'm really looking forward to doing it again. In 2027, our group cruises in Europe are just the Oktoberfest, October 4th, and the Northern Lights, which is a back-to-back with the Oktoberfest, to see the Northern Lights. So excited about about those. Let me know what your questions are. And I want to hear what you think about the changes at Princess and what you notice changing there otherwise, or if you think I'm crazy. I don't think I'm crazy. I think they've got this new president at Princess Cruises, and he has his eye on something that he wants. I think it's great with all of these itineraries. I really do. I was thinking, I have to add this, I was thinking about who's going to pick up the slack with Princess Cruises not being sailing out of Fort Lauderdale there for the summer. We're also seeing Princess go out on Miami, if you've looked at those itineraries. So they are spreading their wings. But I think it's really interesting. You look at how many more ships Royal Caribbean has going out of Fort Lauderdale. Celebrity is covering it really well too. Disney covers sailings from Fort Lauderdale really well as well. There are lots of different cruise lines going out of Fort Lauderdale. So if you want to go on a cruise in the summertime out of Fort Lauderdale, you love that Princess experience, I would say check out Celebrity. Those of you that love Princess and have tried other cruise lines, let me know what you think, would you? And maybe you have a recommendation, because you know what? Even experiences change between different ships and different cruise lines. So maybe you can recommend a certain ship in a certain cruise line, and that will help all of us. It's really nice to be here with you all. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.